everyone, I'm Jennifer. In today's video I'm going to try out the NeocolorII crayons from Caran'dache. I've never used those before, or well, last time I've used crayons I can't even remember, so should be pretty interesting. So I heard a whole lot of good things about these crayons, so I decided to get myself a tin. I got a tin of 48 and now I regret I didn't get the full set because they are awesome, really. When you open it up, it contains 2 layers of crayons. And just look how fabulous they are. They're just awesome. I really like them. I drew this picture with them, and later on after this part I will take you through the steps how I made it. So if you want to skip to that, go ahead. These crayons, they are really soft and creamy, and best of all, they are water soluble. Now let's see, on this white one it says Neocolor Aquarelle, but I was completely surprised when I used water on them. They behave more like gouache, because they're really opaque. They really don't really resemble watercolors at all. Maybe in the first few layers, but as you go on layering and layering, they really act like gouache paint. So let's go demonstrate. I just hope it can be seen from here, but yeah, really nice, creamy, deep colors, really nice. That's the blue, also very nice. It blends nicely together as well, in this way, dry and, well, what the heck, let's take some yellow too. So yeah, really pretty. And now let's take some water, get this out of the way. And let's have a brush and some water. And let's see how they go. As you can see, they blend really well with water, like amazingly well. And you can push it so much you can hardly see the crayon is left. It's just nice paint. And you can do some pretty amazing stuff with it. However, I did find in the batch of crayons I had that there was one which was quite defective. And for me that was the silver crayon. As you can see, it looks horrible. It's like very brittle. You can already see that bits have snapped off at the tip. And at the back, I don't know if you can see it, it's also very cracked, so it's throughout the whole crayon. Also, I found that drawing with this one is a bit harder as with the other colors. And see, it's already snapping off, it's terrible. And if you try to wet it, I found it hardly doesn't do anything. Not as with the other colors. See, it hardly comes off the paper. Not good. And I'm not sure if this is the case with all the silver crayons from the NeocolorII, but yeah, I got one that is quite defective, and well, luckily it's only the silver one. The rest of them are all very good, and I love them. I love these crayons. Really, I have to use them a lot more than I already do. But this is a bit concerning. I just hope there aren't too many crayons out there that pass the inspections like this, because that really is not good. You can't draw with that. Anyway, let's move on to the real tutorial here. So given this medium is totally new for me, I had no idea how to use them. I just knew they were water soluble, so I decided to just go with that and see what I could do with these in the end. So I started to block in the background. And as you can see, it looks pretty much like a kid's drawing. Very crayonly. So at this point, I wasn't sure how I felt about it and the medium, as I was totally preparing myself to end up trashing it, and kept thinking to myself that I should have watched some tutorials on how to use these. But hey, I like to leap into the unknown for the full experience and to challenge myself. So after the first layer was down, I went over it with water to see what it would happen, and I was like, what? This ain't no watercolor, but darn I like it. The colors are more opaque and become quite vibrant while I expected them to become transparent like aquarelle paint. So this was quite a plot twist for me. After the wet bits were dry, I went over it again with a dry layer of color to it and eventually find out what would happen when I would wet it again. Still no plan here, just heavily experimenting and having lots of fun. There are multiple ways of how you can use these crayons. Throughout this drawing, I most of the time apply the crayon dry and then wet it with a wet brush. But you can also wet your crayon on paper or make your paper wet. But you can also shave your crayon down with a knife to make it nice and sharp, but at the same time use the shaving to mix it with water so you get yourself some custom-made paint. You can also pull the pigment off the crayon directly by going over it with a wet brush and then paint the pigments onto the paper. To find out what works best for you, I just suggest you just play around with them and try various techniques to see what suits you best. The reference I used for the dog I got from the website Paint My Photo. I will put the link in the video description. The background I made up myself. I just love painting space scenes. They're just so much fun. So far with the background, I've just been applying the first layers dry, then went over it with wet brush, and then once that's dry, I just keep adding more and more crayon on top of it, and then when I feel like it is right, I just go over it with a wet brush again, and just repeating these steps over and over again until I'm satisfied. This way you just get the colors nice and rich and vibrant. You just can layer away endlessly with these crayons. It's really a lot of fun and they just completely blown me away. As you may have noticed, you can reactivate the already dried up colors by wetting them again. I found that was a really cool feature as it opens so much possibilities. Like for example, you can pick up a color that's already on your paper, dried and well, and you can place it somewhere else on the same paper. So you can do really cool stuff with this. Oh, and for the ones who wondered, I'm using Fabriano artistico hot press paper for this drawing. So I just keep on adding and you can tell how vibrant those colors are becoming. This funky looking pen I'm using is a water brush. This one is from Caran'dache, but I know that Derwent has them as well, and some Asian or Japanese brands exist as well. But I only got this one. They have a little reservoir that you can fill with water, and then by squeezing it in the middle, it wets the brush so you don't have to dip your brush in a water bowl constantly. so it is more convenient and it allows you to work a bit faster. It's also very handy when you're a traveling artist, I can imagine. So now it's time to add the stars. I used a very wet brush and white ink and then kept tapping onto another brush to randomly distribute the stars all over the paper. Afterwards, I kept adding some stars with my water brush. And of course, I covered the dog to protect it from getting some starry looks. Now onto the dog. I just basically much repeat the same technique I did on the background, applying dry colors first, layering them a bit to create a bit of shadows and highlights, letting the colors come back that I used in the background. I was really concerned about the dog part because, well, a dog has fur and that means a lot of details, and I wasn't sure how detailed I could get with these crayons since they're quite big. So I just was really worried, but I just decided to just go along with it and see what would happen. So now I'm wetting the parts that I've applied, and you can see how those colors become dark and vivid and very nice. Gets a really nice painterly look. For me, it's important to bring back the colors of the background so that your main subject seems to be a part of it instead of being cut out and pasted on. So it looks a bit more natural and realistic. Also, I find contrast really important, so I always try to use complementary colors, but also really make a good use of cold against warm colors. If you use cold against warm colors, like for instance red against blue or orange against blue, or you name it, you get really nice contrasts. And well, the spacing helps because you can use any kind of color in that. So I add a lot of reds and yellows into the dog, and I decided I wanted the neck part to be a bit faded out and fused into the background, so get a bit of a dreamy look, a bit fantasy-ish. And yeah, by adding some faint hairs in there and letting stars come through, you get this effect. I suppose these crayons could work very well as an underpainting medium for colored pencils. I really have to give that a try sometime. So again, I keep adding layers until the colors are to my liking. Then I add finer details, strands of fur with a sharp edge of a dry crayon. But I suppose you can add those fine details with a wet brush as well. Since these act like gouache, you can apply light over dark, both dry and wet. You can just keep adding layers dry and wet to intensify your colors as much as you like. Same for details. These possibilities with these crayons are endless, and I adore them for it. I have only tried them once, and I already feel they have become one of my favorite mediums to work with. They are just that much fun. Sorry if it looks a bit funny here, like all those dark blotches on a dog. My lamp was the culprit. Anyway, we are nearing the end of this video. I hope it was helpful. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section and I'll be glad to help you out. Also, I am open to suggestions, like if there's a certain medium or product you'd like me to use in a video, or maybe a kind of technique that you would like me to show, then please let me know in the comment section as well. So thank you for watching, please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.